Default parameters, we also did default parameters, but still, you know what? Let's just have a little quick recap, on default parameters for functions. Default parameters. So there is this thing called default parameters. So if I'm going to define a function, basically, I'm going to say the function test. So let's not use test. Let's say function. You know, what might be a default parameter? I don't know. Yeah, let's say we have a function called NuCore or something. You might have, I don't know, the registration number. You might have the make, the model, and you might have the year. But you know the age. The age is going to by default, if it is a new car, the age is going to be 0. And maybe you're just going to console the log registration number, the everything basically. A very simple function, it just logs everything. But you know, the problem here is that if I didn't have this default parameter, a default parameter is a parameter, so these are all parameters. So by the way, we call them parameters inside the function definition, and we call them arguments inside the function call. So if I call the function here new car, and I say 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say Mazda, it's a 6, or it's a Miata, and it's like I don't have to say 0 years old. If it already has a default parameter age equal to 0, if it's new, it's going to be like 0 years old. I don't have to say it. It's going to take the default value. If I run this, you're going to see that node. I'm simply going to run it. Node cd week 14 d5, and then we can say node main.js. You see, it took the value 0. Now, if I want to give a specific value to it, I can copy the same thing and give 10. Now it's going to tell me like 10, you see? The second one is going to be 10. So I can place a value, but I don't need to place a value. If I don't pass this parameter here, it's going to take the default parameter. That's why default. Usually all default parameters should be placed to the right, and all non-default parameters should be placed to the right. Don't put one default, one non-default, one default, etc. All default should be to the right. If I have 3 default parameters, all 3 should be to the right. So that's pretty much it in terms of default parameters. Now let's see additional stuff. So there's also the ternary operator, so the conditional operator. I think I showed it to you, but still, you know, why not do it again? So we have the ternary operator. How do we use it? If you want to use a condition, you know, you can say if I don't know, let's say whether, if let's say weather equal to sunny. Here we can say if weather equal to sunny, then console.log great weather, else console.log bad weather. So it's a very simple condition. But you know, you could make all this code. So we have 1 line of code, 2 lines of code, 3 lines of code, 4 lines of code, 5 lines of codes. I could compress everything using the ternary operator. What would I need to do? It's very simple. This is the condition. If weather equal to sunny, then what do I do? And this is else. So then I console.log great weather. Else, this is else by the way. Else I console.log bad weather. So this is simply how you can do it very. Sorry, I don't need to put if here. You don't need to put if, by the way. I simply see that it does the same thing. I can comment this out. You need to see. If I run the code, it's going to tell me great weather. And if I put, I don't know, bad, it's going to tell me bad weather. So this is a very simple way of writing a condition in one line. Usually, if it's only one, if you can place everything in one line, it's very easy. So you can use what we call the ternary operator. What's the ternary operator? It's that little interrogation mark. So this is a simple example here, but I think you get the point. So you don't have to put if here. It means if weather sunny, then console.log great weather, else console.log bad weather. So yeah. Strings in JavaScript. I already showed you to do string formatting. It's very easy. So simply equal to form age equal to 10. You could say console.log. Don't use the same inverted commas, the simple inverted commas. Use that. I don't know how we call that. And then you could say name is age years old. But it's not going to work. What you need to do, you need to put dollar here, dollar sign and dollar sign here. Now it's going to work. If I run it, you're going to see time is 10 years old. So this is what we call template strings, basically string formatting. Multi-line strings. You can have multi-line strings. You can use plus and you can use /n. /n means new line. /t means tab. You can use that too. Expression interpolation. You could use that using plus this thing, plus this thing, plus this thing. It's going to work. That's not a problem at all. But you could also use and not. So when you're going to use you can kind of, instead of saying plus, you can use and you can see it's going to tell. Sorry, I was I let's see what I thought it was using an AND operator. It's not that. I forgot in JavaScript. And is this in JavaScript? This is O. I read it wrong. So 15 is A plus B. So it's simply going to tell you 15 is 15 and not 20. So it's very easy. You can change line, and the moment you don't put point virgule column, it's going to continue on the next line. So you can use that. So this is basically, that's a little recap for advanced JavaScript, all type of functions. So here too, it's kind of a little recap. So function declaration, how do you declare a function expression. So this is the function definition. And this is how you call the function call. EX6 arrows, yes, 6 arrows. Yes, 6 is the version, we are in ES7. So you can use we call them arrow functions. We did arrow functions. You can use that too. Implicit return, you can use a return, single parameter, no parameter. Basically, you can have a parameter inside, or you can simply not have a parameter. So this is the parameter that you're passing inside a function. You can use certain functions, string manipulation functions, the two uppercase. So this is an anonymous function, basically. You can use that too. So this is just a quick recap about functions. Array methods. So now we are going to do something that we did do. Some things we already did, but some things we didn't do. I think I already showed you for each, but still we're going to check it out. So let's say we have an array. We have an array of names. Names equal to Tom, Eric, Pierre. We have this array. Now we want to iterate over the array and display all the names. How do we do that? Very easy. We are going to use the for each syntax. I see there is that. There you go. I don't think we need to use that. I think we can use that too. If I remove that. So it could be like function name. We could use that. So choose like here. You see, turmeric people. The difference either you use that or you use the arrow function. The arrow function is actually a bit simpler. Instead of using function here, what do? I simply put the parameter and then I use an arrow. It's a bit simpler. So if you want, you could do that too. It still works. See? Still the same thing. So you can iterate over each element. So in every iteration of this loop, so it's basically a loop. It's going to loop for each name. So it's going to take Tom place inside the variable name for the first iteration. Then in the second iteration, Eric is going to be placed inside name. Third iteration, Pierre. Fourth iteration, Paul. Then there's no more element index. It's a loop. So it's a loop basically. You can do that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Array, that's some method. Actually, the sum method is quite interesting. So the sum method is going to check if at least one element is going to match a certain function, if it's going to be true for a certain value. So if we use sum, it's going to, so when we are going to use the sum method, it's going to either give us true or false. We can check if an element, we can find something inside an array using that. We could also check if a certain value is positive, if something is an even number. I can show you. So the sum method is going to iterate over everything. In the end, inside the sum method, I should return whether it's true or false. I can show you an example. So I can say names dot sum. See what I'm going to do. I'm going to place name. There we go. And then I'm going to say name equal to return name equal to Eric. So what it's going to do here is very simple. I'm sorry. Names that sum name return name equal to, it's going to apply this function that I just defined on every name. And if one of these names is going to return true, so every time it's going, so we have 4 names which are going to be placed inside this loop. It's going to check if sum means at least one of them equals to true. So here when you're returning name equal to Eric, it tells me if Tom equal to Eric, false. Eric equal to Eric, true. Pierre equal to Eric, false. Paul equal to Eric, false. So, but for Eric equal to Eric, it's giving me true. So when you use sum, it's going to check for this function and this function for every value. So for every value inside the array is going to check this function, and this function should return true or false. And at the end, if at least one of them return true, it's going to give you true. I can show you. So this is quite a very simple search algorithm. It's an algorithm used to search. So right, result equal to, and then I can console.log result. It's going to tell me true or false whether we found the element that we wanted. True. But if I wanted to search like Eric, it would have given me false because it doesn't exist. So Eric exists, so it gives me. So what you have to remember is if you have to explore an array very quickly, you want to check if a certain function can be applied and if a certain condition can be checked throughout the array, you can use the sum. If at least one of them corresponds, it's going to give you this. So next thing, I think there's another one except sum. I completely forgot. It's every, right? Every is even more interesting. I can show you an example. So check whether all numbers inside array are positive. How do we do that? Very simple. I'm going to say result equal to, I should define a little numbers equal to, I don't know, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, something like that. Result equal to numbers that every number here I'm going to return number is less than 0. So here it's going to tell me return if the number, if 1 is less than 0, false. If 2 is less than 0, false. So I want to return all positive numbers. What should I do? Not less, but greater than 0. So every number, if every number is greater than 0, it's going, every means, every is different from some. In some, at least one has to be true. Here, every is like and. Each of them should be true. So all numbers must be positive here because 1 is greater than 0, true. 2 is greater than 0, true. 3, everything is going to be true. If everything is true, it's going to give me print. I can say if result equal to true, then else. I'm sorry, we are using JavaScript. Console.log all positive numbers, else contains negative number or 0. Well, contains negative number. I can say greater or equal to. Well, that's going to defeat the purpose or 0. So here you can I can run it. You're going to see that all positive numbers, but if I put a 0, it's going to tell me contains negative number or 0. If I put a negative 1 somewhere, negative 10 is going to tell me contains negative number or 0. But if I remove it, it's going to be fine. So every is going to check if all the numbers match this condition. So yeah, every number must match this condition for it to return true. For some, at least one. For every number must get it. So here, if you're using every, so it used the same thing for okay. No, wait, what? Yeah. It used the same example. You could use something for even numbers too. You just say, if you wanted to check if everything is an even number, you just say modulus equal to 0. That's as simple as this. If you wanted to find even numbers. So, right. So these are some array methods, some more complicated array methods. Let's see more JavaScript methods now. So now we have something in JavaScript called includes. Includes is quite interesting. It's used for searches. Let's say you want, I think we used it once, but let's say we wanted to search an array and search for parts of the string. Let me show you something. Tom is in danger. Now I want to see if this sentence contains a certain part. If sentence that includes mean contains. Tom, does this sentence contain a part, Tom? Yes. Then it's going to tell you. You can say console.log probe contains Tom or something. If I run it, you're going to see contains Tom. But you can put a substring here, so it's going to check whether this string is inside this string. If I put danger 2, it's going to tell me. I can simply say true here. True. But if I put something that is not inside this string, I put test. Test is not inside sentence. It's going to give you false. I didn't say else console.log false. So whatever is inside this can be looked here, Tom. Now I'm going to show you a more realistic representation of this. Let's say we have a list of products or fruits. Let's say we have a list of fruits. Fruits equal to apple, pineapple, apple juice, I don't know why, banana, grape. Now let's say we are writing a search algorithm. We want to search the things inside this, maybe from the database or here, but we want we want to allow the user to input like A, P, P, L, L. I don't need to enter the entire thing. Should return me apple and pineapple. So what can I do? I can say fruit that for each fruit, if fruit that includes keyword, let's say we have a keyword here, keyword equal to app, app. Keyword. Let's say, yeah, fruit that includes keyword, then it's going to, I think we did an example on that the other day when we did DOM. Fruits that push, sorry, not fruits, that results that push fruit. Results that push fruit. You see, when I say app, it's going to give me apple, pineapple, and pineapple juice because app is inside app, irrespective whether it's at the start, it's in the middle, or it's at the end, it's going to still give me something. So yeah, if I want to find grape, I just put GR, it should give me only grape. If I want to put something like NA, I can put NA, it's going to give me banana. So yeah, this is a little search algorithm that you can use. And includes is going to check if the fruit includes that piece of text, that keyword that we're searching. Is going to check if inside this fruit, the current fruit apple, does apple contain any new? Does pineapple contain any new? Does apple juice contain any new? Banana, does banana contain any? Yes, then it's going to push it inside the result array and you can log it. So yeah, this is the includes. We can also use replace, by the way. Replace is interesting. Let's say we have the sentence Tom is in danger. We can replace Tom by Eric. How do I do that? I can say sentence that replace. What am I going to replace? Tom. I'm replacing Tom with what? Eric. Eric. So here we go. And then I can say console.log sentence. And you're going to see that we replaced. It's simply string manipulation here. It what happened? Ah, I have this is sentence equal to sentence to replace. Here we go. You say Eric is danger. It was Tom is in danger. Now it's Eric in danger. You need to assign it to the variable though. Otherwise, it's lost in memory. Pad start. Pad start is when you want to add some padding. You want to add a little tab. You can add a little tab. So you just say sentence dot pad start if you want. Pad end, for example, I can say sentence equal to sentence dot pad start. You're going to see what happens. Oh, you won't be able to see. I'm sorry. You won't be able to see the change because we are inside the console. But it's going to add a little padding, one little space, but it doesn't really need. You can use trim start, trim, and trim is actually interesting. I can show you something. Let's see. We have name equal to, we leave 3 spaces test. Okay, I console.log test. And we have 2 spaces at the end. Sorry, I don't console.log test, I console.log data. And of course, this is data. I run it, see what happens. You see, it has we call this the trailing and the ending spaces. Sorry, this is the trailing. I forgot how we call the start, the leading and the trailing spaces. Leading is at the start, trailing is at the end. We want to, let's say we wanted to remove these empty spaces. I would say data equal to data the trim. Trim is going to trim all spaces, all useless spaces basically. I run it, you can see there's no useless spaces now. Padding was to add those spaces. It didn't work because we were inside the terminal. You can also use flat. Flat is going to make like, you see this array, it has a sub array. We already did that. You can, if you use array dot flatten, it's flat now. You can, it's going to become one single array. You can use that. So yeah, irrespective of the depth, is it 1, 2, 3, it's going to work. So yeah, that's JavaScript methods. Do you have any questions for this part? Every already showed you, includes I already showed you. Do you have any questions for now? Good. Okay, we are going to continue with the next session. So this session was just about a little recap. That's why I didn't take a lot of time. We are going to move on to the next session. Why? Because again, for those who are not here, in the next session on Saturday, we are going to be reviewing your projects. I'm going to be getting a status update from you. Maybe you're going to be checking your hackathons, etc. What you did. I think some were not corrected, etc. We are going to have a full review of every work that you've been doing so far, and I'm going to help you if you're having issues with your project. Maybe if you want to discuss your project, I've requested everyone to think about a project. So guys, please think about a project. And for group 152, you will need to be submitting your project scope on Saturday. So I hope everything is done. So you've planned it. You have some time if you did it. So please get to work. Get a good project scope to be submitted or already submitted, and I'm going to be reviewing it. I'm expecting everyone from 152 to have submitted their project scope when when they're coming to class and on Saturday. If you did it, you're going to be penalized, guys. I'm sorry. I've said it enough times. So please do. Right. So that we have time to do what we've just discussed, let's just start with the next session. So we already did document object model. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to see some more advanced functions. These advanced functions are not going to be used regularly, but they are still used. So we are going to see what these advanced functions consist of. So we are going to have a quick review on functions for that, but we can see we are going to see some nested functions. We are going to talk about closure, and we're going to talk about currying. We're also going to be seeing how we can unpack things, we can pack things, how we can. You're going to see in a bit what can be done with arrays too. Okay, let's see what we can do. So we have a function here. We define the function. It says this is very simple function definition, function call. When you call it, it's going to execute the function expression, receive function hoisting. Function hoisting means invoking the function. Invoking means calling the function. You're calling it before you define it. It's not recommended, but it's going to work in some cases. It can work. Now I'm going to show you something which is very interesting. We call this self-invoking function or immediate functions. Let's see how we can do that. So let's see how we can define a self-invoking function. Usually, traditionally, you would define a function like this: test console.log test. So this is the traditional way of defining a function. And calling the function would actually it's going to look for the function, execute the code inside the curly brackets. If you run it, you're going to get something like there you go, test. But this is sometimes when you want to define, why do we use functions? Sometimes when some code needs to be repeated. But another reason is to actually compartmentalize your code, structure your code in a way that is easy to understand by someone else, it's very easy to maintain too. So even if it's some code is not going to be repeated, you might want to define a function. But if it's not going to repeat it, you can define an anonymous function, great. But what if you need to call it right away? How do we actually do it? It's very simple. You can define a self-invoking function. How do I do that? I display function. I define an anonymous function like this. It doesn't have a name, that's why we call it anonymous. And then we say console.log test inside. This is pretty much the same as above. And then instead, you see how I've usually you would say that, and it would be okay, great, that works. But what do we do here? I think I don't have to. It worked. Why is it not working? Darn it. The arrow is working. This is not working for some reason. Let's see why. Oh, it works though. Why is mine not working? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Anyways, it's not working. Let's just use a traditional add arrow function. This one is going to work, you can see. But nothing is going to be executed. Firstly, the function doesn't have a name. Secondly, we only did this to create a structure to be able to organize our code in a proper manner. But how do I actually run this code? Here you're going to use what we call a self-invoking function. You do that. This means you invoke it instantly. See. Why am I getting an error now? You need to put apparently. Now it's going to work. So you put it inside round brackets and then you call it again. Now it's going to work. Another way of defining this would be like this. Function, nothing. And then I'm going to call the function here. That's pretty much it. And I put console.log test here. That's another way. So you invoke it instantly. Usually you would say test, but and then this. But here it doesn't have a name. So you just say take the entire thing and then you just place the round bracket. It's going to self-invoke itself. You can see. Nested function. What is a nested function? Let's say you have a function called a calculator. Here, the calculator has several functions. Maybe the calculator has a function add. So you can define a function inside a function, by the way. Function add, you take a and b, it's going to return a plus b. It's going to return a plus b. Return a plus b. You can have a function subtract. The function subtract a and b is going to return a minus b. But these two functions, why did I define them inside this function? Because I don't want them to be accessible here. Do I want to add result equal to add 1, 2? This is not going to be accessible here. This function is not found inside the main program. It's inside this function. This function is only accessible from within this function. It won't be accessible here, you can see. I'm going to get an error. Why? It's going to tell me add is not defined because add is defined inside. If I want to get this, I need to place this here. Result equal to add 1, 2. And then I need to call my calculator here. So this is how you can create it. If you want to define the scope of a function, define it inside another function, and this function will only be accessible from within that function. So this is what we call nested functions. It's the same thing for nested conditions. A condition placed inside another condition is called a nested condition. A loop placed inside another loop is called a nested loop. A nested function is when you place a function inside another function. So this is how it works in the end. Do you have any questions so far? Good. So you can see a function is inside another function. A function is inside another function. Here's an example I already showed you. Those function, this function, is only accessible from within this function. You won't be able to access it directly. You need to call that main function to be able to access this one. So yeah, inner function is inside the parent function basically. Now there's this concept called closures, by the way. What is closure? Closure is when you want to return the result of a. How do I explain it to you? Let me think. This, by the way, these are very advanced uh, concepts. You won't necessarily need to implement them, but it's just for you to. You need to at least understand. Know, okay, closure exists. Let me try to show you something. Let's say we have a function calculate. Okay. Inside the function calculate, I have another function add AB return A plus B. Okay. Now, if I want to say calculate, when I'm doing my function, I want to say, okay, the function calculate should simply add A and B. What do I need to do? What I need to do is I need to return add. When I return add, means it's going to return this entire function here. So here I could say adder equal to calculate. Adder equal to calculate 1, 3. I think I did it wrong. Sorry, there's a little mistake in that. I'll show you in a minute. I just want to show you the error first. You see? It gives me an error. It tells me it's a function add. I can't just use it like that. It's going to return the function add basically. So what I need to do is first, so the thing is that when you're using, I define the function calculate, and then I have a function add inside, and then I return add. When I'm going to return it, it's going to return the function inside adder. What I will need to do, I will need to say let adder equal to calculate. Now this adder is a representation of this function add. If I want to add something, I can say console.log adder. I know it's difficult to understand, try to bear with me. See what happens now. It gives me 3. Why? See, you have a main function calculate. You can have 10 functions inside it. And you have a function add, let's say. Here I return add. When I'm returning add is not a variable, add is a function. So I'm returning the entire function. The output of calculate, the return of calculate is going to return the entire function. So if I'm returning a function, I should give it a function name. So here I'm using the function name adder. I'm telling adder equal to calculate. When it's going to run calculate, it's going to return this function to adder. It's going to be like, I cut that here, I place that here. Now adder is a function, and now I can use adder like this. Why do we need sometimes you might want to override some stuff, create some custom components, and can base it off something else, and then modify it and use it like that. So we're going to usually classes are used here, but closure is quite important in some custom logic. So right, it's very complicated what it's explained it to you here, but it's basically the same thing. You have a function outside, you have a function inside. You're returning inside, you're returning this entire function. You should say let fn inside equal to outside 3. It's going to return, this is not going to work, this is not how you should do it. You should simply return the function and then use outside. So here you see, here it does the correct stuff. And then it's a result equal to fn inside 5. So yeah. Now, there's this other concept called currying. You know, sometimes when, let's say you have a very long function, and this very long function, uh, they have very long parameters and it becomes very confusing. So what do you do in that case to be able to make it a bit more simpler? It's only a visual thing, by the way. But in the past, we used to do it for some custom logic. Nowadays, we don't do it. Let's say you have a very long function. I'm going to select details. See how I'm going to say this. I'm going to say first name. I'm going to say address. I'm going to say date of birth. And then I'm going to say I'm going to have a custom function definition. Here is going to console.log name, comma, address, comma. Maybe it should do a little calculation, but I don't really. You could have some custom logic here. Now, how do I call the function name details? This is how you should call it. Details, Eric, Saint-Pierre, 12. This is how you call it now. So basically, I separated the function calls. The first one goes to this, the second one goes to this, the third one goes to this. We call this currying, basically. Not really useful, we don't use it. We don't use that nowadays, but still, we could also do uncurrying. Uncurrying is doing the reverse, by the way. So let's say you have this function, you can use that, great. But you could also say multiply equal to nm, and then you create you curry you use that curried multiply n and m, and then I say multiply 3 4 equal to 12. It should return me to true. So basically we're checking whether this equal to this. If I can run this, if it gives me the same thing as this. So it's a bit more complicated here. What I'm trying to say, usually I would need to say 3 and 4. I would need to pass this and this. Here what I'm saying multiply equal to nm, I pass both together, and then I define it as, okay, this is the same, I'm saying this is the same as this. So now I can use this directly. What it means is, if you want to uncurry it, I can say my details, name, address, UB is the same as details, name, address, UB. Basically, I'm simply saying that. What's the problem? There's a little issue here. Forgot what's happening. Sorry. I should say this. I'm sorry. Equal to. I should put an equal to here. Yeah. So now I can say my, instead of saying details Eric here, I could say, or I could also say my details. I can take the entire thing. I'm just going to replace this by comma. It's still going to work. See? Still works. This is called uncurrying. These concepts are not going to be used. They're very complicated, but still I'm showing it to you, quite interesting stuff. Do you have any questions? Good? Okay, let's continue then. So objects, we already did objects, but still we're going to see how we can work with objects. So basically we have a few things that you need to consider. The last time we did objects, I showed you that you can create an object, but an object is basically a dictionary here, but you could create an object like this. Person equal to name, Tom, age, 10, sex, male. Great. This is an object. This is a way to define an object. You could console.log person. Fine. Uh, but great, it works. But it's more like a dictionary. But what if you want to create a core object? Another notation for that would be, let me show you. You could say person equal to new object. And now what we're going to say inside, I'm going to say person dot name equal to Tom, person dot age equal to 10, and I'm going to say person dot sex equal to male. So here what did I do? I'm going to see if I run it. You're going to see that it's the same thing, but another way of defining an object. Basically. Right, so this is, you can also use this notation, by the way. Accessing the object values, everyone knows how to access. If I want to console log, I want the name, I would say person dot name. It's very easy. If I wanted to update it, I would say person dot name equal to Eric. It would change it instantly. If I console.log person.name again, it would now tell me Eric. Okay, it was Tom, now it's Eric. Great. So you could use that object. So this is the object name, by the way. Person is the object name here. It's like the variable name. Computed properties. So you could also use computed properties. No, it's not really computed properties. It's simply using like the dictionary notation, by the way. It's calling it computed properties. It's like it's the attribute. So here you have three attributes. Let's say you have this. Let's say we have call equal to name. Sorry, reg number, name of person. For make Toyota, and we have model. Yes. Yeah, something like that. Great. You could console.log it. Great, car. Very nice. Superb. Now let's say you wanted to get the make. I could say console.log or make. Another way of accessing it would be say Toyota. Another way of accessing the same thing would be call make. It's telling you computer properties is that in some languages you can't do that. I'm going to show you. You could say property equal to make. And then I would console.log. Some languages don't allow you to do that. Call slash property. That property is that variable I just used. So make is inside this variable. Here you're using the variable inside this notation to make it work. You can see it still gives me the result. So that's why we call it this. Property value shorthand. So you could use a property value shorthand basically. So let user equal to make user. So you have a function, you have this, it returns an object basically. So you could have and then you could it's the same as this is the same as this. I don't have to say return name dot dot age dot dot etc. What does it mean is that instead when I want to create an object, I don't need to put name this, age this, sex this. What I need to do is, let's say we have a function create user. Here this function is going to return an object. The object is going to be a dictionary. The dictionary is going to be like name, age, address. I don't need to say return age name name address address. I don't need to say that. I can simply it's going to work by the way. I would say Tom equal to create user. I would need to say Tom 10 years old 234 Boulevard Street. See it works, great. But I don't need you to say that. Another way of writing that function would be I simply say return name, age, and address. It's the shorter form of doing this. I don't say name equal to name, age equal to age. It's going to do it automatically for me, basically. Can show you? You see? Still the same. It still keeps name, age, address here. So, alright, right. Let's comment on this one. Just to be sure. You see? Still works. So, right. You don't need to say name, the column name. You can simply say name, age. Looping for an object, you can use for in by the way if you want to do for this object. Let's say you have this object Tom. I can say for property in Tom. By the way, remember you have to use bracket. This is not Python. It's JavaScript. So you can console.log property, console.log property, and you can say Tom slash property. So you're going to get the key and the value, the property and the value. Address, one, two, you can see name, Tom, age, then address, 10345 Boulevard Street. So you can use that to for in to get the properties. So this is a quick overview of objects. We are going to, the last thing that we're doing for today, it's going to be, well, it's early. Already completed the session for today. So I'm going to request everyone, for those who did not think of a project we did it for. This is the last thing that we are doing today. So give me one moment, please. Yeah, sorry. So this is the last thing that we are doing for today. It's very simple. There's nothing. We already did that. Wait, what? That's over here for objects. Yep, that's over. Yeah, that's over. Sorry. JavaScript hosting, we already invoke function. I already showed you what is an invoke function, by the way. You just instantly call it. You can pass a parameter to here, by the way. That is JavaScript hosting. JavaScript hosting is when you can host, oh, it's the thing that we were doing right now. I think it was, yeah, JavaScript hosting is quite interesting. So you can declare a variable and then you initialize it. So basically, in other languages, you would say var name. And then you would be able to say name equal to Tom, or you could say var name equal to Tom. In JavaScript, it combines the two. So basically, when you're going to, if you want to host it, you can declare a variable. When you declare the variable, it's going to enable, it's going to create it inside memory. Then you can use it, you can store data. But in JavaScript, you can focus some of that. You can say, I don't need to say var or let var a equal to 10. I can simply say a equal to 10. This also works. Why? Because you can say b equal to a. How do I explain it to you? A variable can be declared after it has been used, basically. You can mm, how do I explain it to you? Mm, okay, I'll give you a very simple example. I don't really know how to explain that. They just added that in the syllabus. Let me try to show you. Let's say we have name equal to Tom, okay? And then we have age equal to 10, and then we have console.log name. Sorry, we have this name is age years old and lives at address. Now let's say there's a developer who came on the project late. He did a little mistake. He added the address later on. Something like that. What do you think is going to happen here? It's going to give me an error. Address is not defined. You see, because I define here is trying to read address, but address is not defined. But yeah, that's a big problem here. It's going to tell me address is not defined. But what you could actually do is to make it. How do I explain to you? This is not going to work basically. You can see. But I'm going to give you another example. So here you're going to see name equal to Tom, age equal to 10. You console that log. It doesn't work because address should be, if I place address here, of course it's going to work. You see? It's going to work by default. Now I'm going to give another scenario. I'm going to say the same thing, function test console.log works. And I'm going to call the function at the bottom. Great. It works. But if I take that, I place it here. What happens? It still works. In the case of a variable, it couldn't do it. But here I declared the variable later on, and then I use it before it couldn't work. But for a function, if I declare the function later, I use it first, it's going to work. It works for functions. But the problem with hoisting is that this is called hoisting when I place something that should be declared at the top to the bottom. Sometimes you can get an error like here. Sometimes it can work. Another way of doing it would be, here what I would need to do to make it work would be, I would need to do something a little differently. I would need to place this here, and then I would need to say var address. Here I could say var name, I could say var age, and I could say address equal to 1234. Here it's going to work, even if I put the var address below to make it global, basically. But it doesn't really make sense if you see it well. Here it works, but here it doesn't. But when you're talking about variables, it's more about sequential execution. It's just a little concept I'm showing you. You don't have to really understand it. You can say we have var equal to this thing, var c equal to this. Here you're going to see c is going to be undefined. Here if I say I don't put var address, see what happens? It works for some reason. Okay, I give up, guys. This system is not used anymore, by the way. So it's just here to tell you. I would be very much interested to talk about parsing functions by reference or by parsing values by reference or by values. This is much more interesting. So when you're parsing a value to a function, you can parse it. You have to understand what does parsing by value and parsing by reference mean basically. So you can copy something by reference, you can copy something by value. So it's a bit complicated. Let me show you how it works basically. Okay, let's take something very basic. I'm going to have a function. Run, maybe? Run. A comma B. Superb. And here, okay, not a comma b, value. I'm going to pass value here. Great. Here I'm going to say value equal to 10. Okay. So here I'm going to have a number equal to 5. And then I'm going to say run number. And then I'm going to say console.log number. Okay, tell me according to you what's going to happen here. I'm just going to give you a brief. So we have a function run value. We have value equal to 10. I have a variable called number equal to 5. I can even say void if you want to make it global here. And then I say run number. It takes this number, this parameter, it sends it into value. Now when I say value equal to 10, it changes the original number. So my original number should be changed to 10. If I run it, do you think I'm going to get 10 or I'm going to get 5 here? What do you think? This is quite tricky. What do you think is going to happen here? Any idea? C'est Moron, ça qui peut arriver. If I run this, just to recap, we have a function, we have a number. I say run number. It takes that number, it passes it inside the function run as an argument. It goes here, the number goes into value. So 5 goes here, and now I say value equal to 10. So whatever was passed here, number becomes 10, but actually it doesn't. It's going to become, my number is still going to be 5. It's not going to be 10. I run it, you're going to see. It's still 5. It didn't become 10. Why? Because when I'm passing, I'm saying run number. When I'm passing an argument here it's called an argument, here it's called a parameter. When I'm passing an argument here, it's taking a copy of 5, a copy of number, and sending the copy to the value. We call this passing a parameter by value. Value by value means by using a copy. So it's going to take number, take a copy of number and send it here. So here value contains is another variable. It doesn't contain the original address where the variable number is stored. It simply contains a copy of the value number 5. So in memory, I'm going to have value equal to 5. So if I say value equal to 10, it's value which changes. It's not the original number. The original number has not been passed into value. It's the copy of the original number which has been passed into value. So we call this passing by value. So variables are passed by value. But to the contrary, if I show you something now, let's say I have numbers equal to 1, 2, 3. Good. Now I have a function. I have a function process, and I'm going to pass like that data here. And here I'm going to say data 0 equal to 100, data 1 equal to 99, data 2 equal to 98. Right. And now I have numbers equal to 1, 2, 3, and then I say process numbers. Now I'm going to say console.log numbers. So here it's the same scenario, but instead of a parameter or instead of a variable, we are passing an array. So here I'm defining this function. I have an array, and I'm saying process numbers. It takes the numbers, it sends it here, but here you have to be very careful. When it sends number here, it checks is numbers an array, is simple data structure or a complex data structure. An array is a complex data structure. The fact that it's a complex data structure, it takes more memory. So in that case, only simple data structures are passed by value. Others are passed by reference. Reference means the address in memory. So when you're passing numbers here, it's taking an address, a reference from memory and passing it data. data contains a reference of numbers, so it's actually the real data because it's a reference to the memory. If I change data and manipulate data, it's going to affect the real one because we are affecting the same memory locations. It's stored. We've passed a reference. It's like a hyperlink, a link, not a hyperlink but a link. We've linked numbers to data. If we change numbers, it's going to change. If we change data, it's going to change numbers. If I run it, you're going to see it's 199 and 98. It changes it because we pass a reference. Donc, to summarize, when you pass a when you call a function, you pass a value. If that value is a simple data structure, such as a variable, a string, a number, an integer, etc., a boolean, it's going to take a copy and send. We call this passing by value. But if it's an advanced data structure like an array, dictionary, and object, it's going to pass by reference. It means the real data has been passed. If you modify it, it's going to reflect in the original numbers being modified. So this is by value and by reference, by the way. So if I have C greeting hey, let D equal to C. When I say D equal to C, well, if D equal to C, is C a simple data structure or an advanced data structure? C is an advanced data structure. So if I say C dot greeting is equal hello, I'm going to get hello. It's going to modify it. Copying by reference, this is how you can copy by reference. You simply say object 2 equal to object 1 is going to copy by reference, basically. So it's going to reflect all the changes. 15 becomes 10, basically. So yeah. So this is the concept, basically, of references and value, basically. So right. If you copy a primitive value, of course, it's going to be by value. If you copy an object, it's going to be by reference. What I mean by that is, if I say A equal to 5, B equal to A. So if I say B equal to, is A simple data structure or a complex one? A is a simple data structure, it's a number. So B equal to 5 is going to copy it by value. If I say B equal to 10, and then I say console.log A is not going to be affected because B was copied by value. So A is still 5. You see, A is still 5. But instead, if I say A equal to 10, and then I say B equal to A, and then I say B0 equal to 99, and then I say console.log A. I didn't touch A right now, but you will see that A is 99 because it's called copying by reference. So this is copying by value, this is copying by reference. It's a concept with immutability. Here you go. So that's pretty much it for today. I'm not going to continue again because we're already in advance. In the next session, we are going to discuss about your project, hackathons, everything. I'm hoping that everyone from group 152 has submitted their project scope by Saturday. We are going to review it. Please do so if you haven't done so. You have some time right now, up to 9. Please go and think about it, submit your project scope form. And it doesn't matter if it's not good, we can discuss on Saturday and then I can do some changes. You can do some changes. That's not going to matter, but think about it, start working on projects and we'll discuss on Saturday. Is it good for everyone, guys? C'est bon pour tout le monde? Do you have any questions? I'm going to end early so that you can go and work on your project, etc. For those of group 152, if you already started working, you can continue working, etc. So no worries. 173, start thinking about a project. You can think about it, you can submit on Saturday, etc. But 150, I'm sorry, I completely lost 153, guys. That's 152. For those of the group 153, please submit it by Saturday. The scope form. C'est bon? Donc, tout le monde du groupe 153 doit soumettre le form d'ici samedi. On va discuter dans la session du samedi. Good. Pas de questions? Anything you want to ask me? Sotia?
Sir?
Yes, tell me.
Actually, it's better if I ask you on Saturday, but actually during the hackathon, I
Yeah.
did project, but I was having some issues. Like I wanted to add something in it, but I was not able to. So it's better if I show it on Saturday.
Yeah, sure. We can review that
I
on
just wanted
Saturday.
to let you know about it.
Yeah, sure. We can discuss that on Saturday. You can just present your project. If you want, you can come in person, or otherwise, you can just present your screen online, and we'll see if
Yeah,
yeah.
I will be there. I will.
You'll be there. Okay, sure. We can review it on Saturday then, and I can help you. It's better, guys, when you're having issues, you can't do some stuff. It's better to come on Saturdays because, when I'm seeing something on the screen, it's very hard to help you. I can't. It's going to be very slow. In person, it's very easy to help you and even suggest you how you can improve that, etc. So, if you have any issues, I recommend you to come in person for on Saturdays. It's very much interactive and helpful to. It's very easy to debug, basically. So yeah. Good. Other questions? None? Okay, so let's end early for today, guys. Please go and check everything that I've just mentioned. Please do your part of the work, guys. Right. Okay, so I'll see you on Saturday then. Have a great end of week, and yeah, bye.
Bye.